What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are at Sioux Falls Regional Airport for the 60th airport update for the month of January 2025. We go from celebrating 50 at Des Moines to now celebrating 60 here in Sioux Falls, and we've got a very loaded update once again, another little surprise included towards the end, so I'll do special for that towards the end of the video. We got a lot of things to discuss, so this is going to be a very packed update, so let's hop right into it, starting off with this Allegiant A320 at Gate 1, coming in from Fort Lauderdale, also known as Fort Lauderdale. This operated as Flight 511, arriving in at 11:36 a.m., ahead of a scheduled 12:14 p.m. arrival. I'll go ahead and zoom out to the complimentary 319, parked right next to it. This aircraft arrived in from Nashville as Flight 314. Coincidentally, both of these airports I've already visited, thanks to, one of them thanks to Allegiant Air, the other thanks to Spirit. This arrived in as Flight 314 at 12:13 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 12:42 p.m. arrival. For both of these Allegiant services, they will operate twice weekly through February, operating on Mondays and Fridays. So nice to see the frequency still going strong. And also looking at Phoenix Mesa as well, since I don't have the service in this update, I'm noticing that looks like on Saturday here, later in the month, there's going to be 3 flights. Yeah, 3 daily A320s from Phoenix Mesa. I have never seen that with an Allegiant service, so it really shows just how strong our Phoenix services are going for Allegiant Air. But otherwise, they're operating that service every day of the schedule for February with 28 days in the month. So great to see the Mesa services going strong for us here in Sioux Falls. Well, we move on from Phoenix with Allegiant and just Allegiant in general to another, mainstay that has sort of disappeared for now, but will be coming back very soon. We'll be eager to get that back into action for 2025. We have American Eagle, an Embraer 175, operating the DFW service today, Flight 3696, an Envoy-operated flight. This arrived in a little behind schedule at 5:22 p.m., delayed from 5:02 p.m., delayed by 20 minutes. So as you'll note, our American mainline from DFW not operating once again. It looks like that's going to be the norm, I'd imagine, at least for maybe the next couple years, is that they drop the mainline for January. But mainline does return on Valentine's Day, February 14th. It will be just once daily, with the other 2 frequencies being the Envoy 175s. So imagine once we get into March, then we'll see one of the second flights then get upgauged back to a mainline 319. So it'll be great to see that coming back later on down the line. Now moving on over to United with the inconsistent mainline as always. Today we've got a 737-800 and an A320. The 738 arrived in from Denver as Flight 645, and this arrived in at 8:06 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 8:23 p.m. arrival. And then swinging that around, we've got an A320 with the lovely Evo livery, parked at Gate 6 with the glass jet bridge attached. This arrived in from the Windy City, Chicago O'Hare as Flight 2617 at 9:31 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 9:33 p.m. arrival. As always, you'll see a wide variety of the mainline aircraft with 319s and the other 737 variants, and even the MAXs when they feel like it, because that's just what they do. They love sending in all kinds of different aircraft, and it's good for me because it provides some variety with the updates. And our last aircraft at the terminal here for Gate 4, this Delta Connection Embraer 175, came in from Minneapolis as Flight 4174, a SkyWest-operated flight in this case. And this arrived in at 6:23 p.m., delayed from a 6:19 p.m. scheduled arrival, only behind by 4 minutes. So as we zoom things out, I do want to talk about our 2024 passenger numbers. I did hint at this a little bit in the December update, but we didn't have the complete information. It was just December numbers we were waiting on since we hadn't progressed to the full month yet. But I do have the full tally from 2024. We had a total of 1,425,432 passengers, and that is a 6.5% increase from 2023 when we had 1.338 million. And despite the upticks, we did have some down months as well, and I did talk a little bit about these as well. January and May were down, but they were only down by like 0.2%, 0.6%, so only like a slight downturn, which you can kind of expect. There's some slight variabilities that can cause those numbers to drop by a small amount. And then some of the other numbers that I mentioned as well, We did have June was up by 10%, October was up 14, almost 15%, and then our December numbers, when those came in, I was a bit surprised. They were up 13.5%. So really crazy to see just how larger the number of passengers is getting coming in and out of FSD, which goes to show why we need this expansion project to get started like yesterday. We need it started now, because again, the space is so cramped, it's hard to navigate the airport when you've got maybe not this many flights as represented on my diorama here, but you get a good handful of flights parked at the gates, and that terminal becomes cramped rather quickly. So again, we do need that expansion project to get started on very soon, and I'm hoping for some positive news to come in as we head into the spring and summer months. So I'll be keeping a very close eye on any new developments, and I'll be reporting those in upcoming FSD updates. So that's just a little update that I have for the passenger numbers here. Again, 1,425,432, a 6.5% increase from 2023. Now we move on to 4 aircraft we've got. 2 parked at the hard stand, 1 taxiing over to the hard stand, which you can kind of see down there, and we'll actually start with that one because that's the one you can see in frame, sort of. And it is Frontier, the A320neo. I still need to get another one because, again, the main gear on that one is missing. I have started to grow a soft spot for wanting to collect all the different tails that Frontier has on their aircraft, so maybe I will approach that later on down the line. I just don't know when, because the collecting hobby has become so exciting with all the new releases coming out everywhere and everybody doing a little bit of everything. So it's really hard to keep up with what everyone else is doing. So that won't be a very high priority goal for this year, but we'll see what happens. So moving on to this aircraft taxiing to the hard stand, it will be parking at Gate 1, but as you saw, the Allegiant aircraft parked there, so that can't happen right now. This Frontier A320neo came in from Denver as Flight 2108, and this arrived in at 5:14 p.m. ahead of a scheduled 5:43 p.m. arrival, arriving nearly 30 minutes ahead of schedule, so must have caught a really good tailwind or got out of Denver fairly early to beat the scheduled arrival time. Just like with the Allegiant services that I brought up earlier, this Frontier Denver service will remain twice weekly, operating Mondays and Fridays. Always a good frequency to go with for any service that can't operate daily, because then you can fly out to Denver for the weekend and then come back on Monday. Maybe you'll miss a day of work, but if that's the worst that happens, then certainly not much to complain about there. I don't know, with Allegiant, their Sunday, Thursday frequencies are usually more common as opposed to Monday, Friday here. But as with those 2 services we mentioned, those are operating on the start and end of week frequencies. Now we'll check out the hard stand and our little special. Example B of why we need the concourse expansion project to get started on is that the hard stand can quickly fill up with planes, and this is not realistic since these planes arrive in at different times of the day. But this is usually a scenario that I see, especially if, you have like American occupying a gate and then another American flight comes in, it needs gate 5 or whatever. So that can turn into a pretty busy situation there. So right here we've got this 2 aircraft parked on the hard stand. We'll start off with the aircraft on the bottom right, near the bottom right of your screen, the United Express Embraer 175, which came in from Denver as Flight 5378, operated by SkyWest at 4:05 p.m. ahead of a scheduled 4:28 p.m. arrival. And then next to that, a Delta A319 coming in from Atlanta, host city for Airliners International this summer. This arrived in as Flight 2615 and arrived in at 11:02 p.m. ahead of a scheduled 11:14 p.m. arrival. And our last aircraft for this update, we have this Breeze A220-300. Has one visited FSD yet? No. We've only had the Embraer 190s, and I think maybe a 195 came through if I remember right, but it's just been 190s to my recollection. This is another fictional charter flight following up on what I did last month for the Sun Country charter to the fictional Fort Pierce Airport run by Syracuse Aviation. I'm sending this aircraft out to the Great Plains International Airport, which is run by CM Aviation over on his channel. The absolutely massive international airport that he's got with, I don't know how many gates it has, like 150, 200. Basically using a good chunk of his like 750 model collection, which is insane to think about. But this aircraft heading out to Great Plains, bringing out one of the local sports teams, playing their sports team. I don't know what exactly they have there for sports. I'm sure they've got some really good whether it be like a varsity sport or like collegiate stuff. I don't know. I don't know what they got going on. All I know is that this is just a sports charter heading out to Great Plains. This is operating as Flight 6453, and it would depart at 8:12 p.m., delayed from an 8 p.m. scheduled arrival, behind by 12 minutes. Probably just a slight delay there with the de-icing operation, since, as we know, Sioux Falls gets very cold in the wintertime. I need to get some, like, de-icing equipment. I think Jet Set Models has a set available for sale, so I need to pick that up at some point, because that would be great to have. And I could represent, maybe, if those aircraft were sitting there, it wouldn't just look like they're just sitting there, then I could make it look like they're getting de-iced or something. But that's something to consider later on. So there it is, a 60th airport update for FSD for January of 2025, and a nice loaded update at that, with a lot of different movements going on, and looks like Frontier's already made its way over there, so one of those aircraft are going to have to move, but that won't be happening yet since there's been no movement on this diorama. So, also to cover more action here at FSD, and again, the concourse expansion, I think that'll become the big thing I'll follow for 2025, pending further developments. Nothing new this month, so I don't have much to report on with that, but hopefully that'll change for February and beyond. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.